Hey y'all, IrixGuy here, back again with another live show, epic drone show. Now today's live show is going to be all about the Mavic Air. What I want to do within this show is answer all the questions you may have. Obviously, give you the opportunity to share your feedback, your experiences. You know, maybe you've had hands-on with the Mavic Air as well. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you just have a lot of questions. Now what I'm going to do here before we get rolling is get this. I got to resize my window because I had it hooked into a big monitor, and now I've relocated it in my studio. Let's see. Let me do this really quick. And by the way, anything that you type, any comments that you type, if you're tuned in live at approximately 7:03 p.m. New York City time, and this is a live show, so after the live show concludes, it'll obviously be available offline. If you go to epicdroneshow.com, you can watch the previously recorded version. Sean Coonery, you can't come up here. This desk is pretty crowded right now. We'll get you on another live show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get in here. And for starters, I just can't. Whoa! Oh, Sean Coonery, watch out! Watch out! You're getting the microphone. Watch out! Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Go over there. Go over there. Thanks. Thanks. Sorry about that. So, for starters, what's so cool and what's impressed me the most about the Mavic Air is the size. Obviously, the size, as you can see here. I mean, this thing is super manageable. But initially, that was something that concerned me. You know, the size of the drone was something that I felt may have been a negative aspect, because how can something so small and so lightweight compete with a Mavic Pro, a Phantom 4, a Phantom 3 Pro, or any other Phantom model for that matter? I mean, it just seems unrealistic to believe, you know, that something this small can do so much. And you know, obviously, like every drone, I take it out in the field and I have very realistic expectations. I don't enable myself to accept any form of mental bias. You know, I don't want to feel that when I'm, you know, putting my hands on this drone. You can check out my first flight. From first flight forward, I mean, it's what I've experienced, and it's been really good so far. And that's what kind of makes me nervous, because with an experience so good, where is all the bad? And with other drones, I'm able to nitpick and I'm able to find that. The one negative aspect, and this is a tolerable negative aspect, but if you look at the rear, let me see in the live viewfinder here, see how close that, yeah, okay, there you can see. So if you look at the rear right here, see how I've got the door kind of ajar, it's not flush. I do that intentionally because that thing's a hard plastic, and that's where your USB-C port and then also your micro SD card goes. So it's important that you're able to get in and out of that, especially without tools. You know, you don't want to have tools when you're out in the field to open this this door on the back. So for that reason, what I've done, and it's actually worked quite well so far, I've closed it where only one of the two sides is closed. So that enables me with a fingernail to pop it open. If both of them are closed, I've found that door, because it's made of a hard plastic, to be pretty much impossible to open. You know, the first time I opened it, I had to use a little object, and someone else recommended using a coin. They said there may be a possibility that it may not scratch the Mavic Air as much as another metallic object may. But if I was DJI, I would have made this out of rubber, a soft rubber. I mean, that's a minor complaint, giving all the greatness, excuse me, that Mavic Air has brought to the table. So that is my gripe, and I'm digging deeply. You know, I'm dissecting the performance of this thing, trying to find other negative aspects, and I've really, you know, I thought I was going to find negativity within the communications mechanism that it uses, and that's, it uses Wi-Fi. It doesn't call it Wi-Fi, they call it enhanced Wi-Fi. So I was like, man, this is going to have to be bad. You know, they're calling it enhanced. They're trying to cover something up. But honestly, I have not lost FPV view. I have not lost control. And obviously, I fly a line of sight to be safe and responsible. So I can say, without a doubt, with 100% certainty, that the Wi-Fi that's integrated into this Mavic Air enables me to fly throughout the range of visual line of sight and experience no problems. Now, many people may say, well, does Wi-Fi, is it more susceptible to interference? And that's a good, you know, that's a good point. Since I don't fly in congested areas, I've never been in an area where there would be Wi-Fi interference present. So I haven't encountered that. But you know, there's a possibility that that could be a negative aspect of the Mavic Air. John Hyman, welcome aboard. He says, have you found any way to download from the air other than the cable? So, yeah, so to answer John's question, actually, so one way to download other than, well, the cable, obviously, as you mentioned, the USB-C, that's one way to do it. The other way would be to pop out the micro SD card, assuming that you're using a micro SD card and you're not recording to the internal 8 gig of memory. But if you're using a micro SD card, you can simply pop that out and then pop it in a in a micro USB card adapter and plug it into the SD card slot on your computer. Another way to do it, and this is actually something I did today. I was doing some, I was filming some of the quick shots, the asteroid. You know, that's that really cool quick shot effect that makes it look like you're coming in from orbit, and it comes right down on you. In that scenario, when I was out in the field and I was using my iPhone 7 Plus in conjunction with the Mavic Air, what I did to transfer that clip after I filmed it, I went into what I was already in the DJI Go app, and towards the bottom right, I hit the little play icon, and then I was able to watch the video that I recorded. But then after doing that, I tapped it, and it enabled me to download the video that I recorded directly to my iPhone 7 Plus, and it appeared within Photos on my iPhone 7 Plus, so it transferred wirelessly. So that would be a third option. So option 1, use your USB-C cable to download. Option 2, eject your micro SD card, again assuming that you recorded to a micro SD card instead of the internal 8 gigs of memory. You can eject that micro SD card, insert it in your computer, download that way. Third option, as I mentioned, through DJI Go app. And that's a great question. Let me add that to my cut sheet here. I've got a list of to-do videos, and I'm going to add a video, Mavic Air, how to download photos and videos, because that's a great tutorial opportunity. So I'm going to whip that up. I've added it to my to-be-created video list. Next question here. Kevin says, hi, Irix, joined late. What is your favorite drone as of this broadcast now? Without stutter, it's the Mavic Air. And the reason it is the Mavic Air is that, and by the way, previously it was Phantom 4, and it was Phantom 4 because I got consistently rock solid 4K 30 video with the Phantom 4. Now obviously the Phantom 4 was not ideal from a travel weight and a travel size perspective. But what was ideal was the rock solid, consistently excellent 4K 30 video without a tap to focus requirement. And that's another reason why the Mavic Air is now my favorite new drone, not just new drone, but my favorite drone on the market today, because there is no tap to focus requirement. The few videos that I've filmed so far with this, and I've got a ton more that I'm editing, but when you look at the video quality, it didn't require tap to focus. There is no tap to focus. This thing, it comes on, it just focuses, and it does an excellent job focusing. Now, with that said, Fruipel, welcome aboard. Big Plains, welcome aboard. With that said, I like to keep everything 100% honest. I mean, you know that DJI is my favorite drone on the market, but you know if there's something I don't like, I'm going to tell you about it. And several viewers had commented, and they said, hey, have you noticed, and I'm trying to think of the way they described it, but like black lines or whatever kind of in the middle of the video. And I hadn't noticed it. But then I started to scrutinize a lot of videos, and I saw the lines. They're just kind of, it's not a problem, and it didn't appear within all my video clips, but I did notice it in a few. And what I noticed is that if the Mavic Air was flying directly towards the sun, sometimes you would see those lines. And I've got to research it more, but I know with another model drone, and I'm trying to remember which drone it was, but I encountered that same situation when I was flying directly into the sun. And I can't remember if it has to do with, I mean, the sun obviously is part of the equation, but someone explained that a while back, and I'd have to look and see. And I think that's probably it's probably the same thing that's occurring with the Mavic Air. Again, not a problem. It's barely noticeable. I mean, you'd really have to really just stare really closely with a good monitor and a good set of eyes to see it. But I have seen it a few times. But the only time I've seen it within my videos is when, again, when I was flying directly into the sun. Not a problem, but it is worth mentioning. It is something that I did observe. And I'm filming everything. Yeah, John just said what it is. He said it's probably prop wash. And I bet that's probably the case. So, yeah, this Mavic Air, without a doubt, my favorite drone. I mean, the other thing that's just so cool about it, I mean, when you look at the level of refinement, I mean, DJI, as you know, their trend was make a better and better Phantom. They did a really good job with doing that. The Phantom is their bread and butter. But then again, they stepped outside their comfort zone. They created the Mavic Pro, which was good, but I didn't like it as well as I liked the Phantom 4 because it had tap to focus. I couldn't get the rock solid and consistently excellent 4K 30 video from the Mavic Pro that I could from the Phantom 4 or the Phantom 3 Pro. So for that reason, you know, I didn't like the Mavic Pro, but the Mavic Pro was very well received, probably primarily by people that had not experienced the other drones, and they didn't, in their mind, have an expectation for what the 4K 30 video should look like. And maybe they weren't even filming in 4K 30. So there's a lot of what ifs there. So then DJI developed the Spark, which was an even more extreme experiment. And it looks like Mavic Air was the product of their experimentation. So in other words, you know, Spark was super small. Mavic Pro 2 was small. But then they created something that is small like the Spark, but it's providing you with even better video and even better performance than the Mavic Pro. So they finally arrived upon something great. And that begs the question, let's see here. Frugal says, I don't know which videos you're referring to, but many times you get lines from prop shadows. I need to see the video. Yeah, I think Frugal, I think you and John are spot on. I think that's probably what it is. It's probably related to the props. Kevin says, any chance of Phantom 5? I think the Phantom 5 is still imminent. I mean, for DJI to discontinue their bread and butter drone, their drone that made them famous, you know, I don't think that discontinuing their bread and butter would be acceptable. So for that reason, what I do think is that, you know, DJI has made it very clear that they're embracing innovation. You know, they're willing to accept the fact that, yeah, the Phantom is their most popular drone. It's the best. They were willing to accept that, but they were also, due to their success, again, what I just mentioned, they were able to step outside of their comfort zone and experiment with other drones. So that has created the Mavic Air, which is, again, as of today, February the 6th of 2018, the Mavic Air is my favorite drone. So with that being said, to segue into your question about the Phantom 5, what about, you know, what's next? So it makes and again, this is my prediction. Mavic Air is going to replace Spark. I don't think there's really going to be a continuation of Spark, because this is what Mavic Pro and Spark created. You know, it's the best of both worlds. So they created Mavic Air. I think there will be a Mavic Pro 2, and I think the Mavic Pro 2 will be a more high-end version of the Mavic Air. In essence, what will probably happen, the Mavic Pro line will replace what was once the DJI Phantom line. So we'll see the Mavic Air is the entry-level drone. The Mavic Pro 2 is the pro-level, very portable drone, probably a 1-inch sensor, probably 4K 60 frames per second, and then the Phantom 5. And the Phantom 5 is going to be something that we haven't even thought about yet. And I think the Phantom 5 will be foldable. I think the Phantom 5 will be bigger and will be heavier, but it won't be too big and too heavy like the Inspire. And I think that the Phantom 5 will probably come in at a smaller size than the current model Phantom 4. So I think the Phantom 5 is going to be the ultra duper high end modular camera deal. I doubt we'll see a modular camera on Mavic Pro 2. That's my prediction, and that's just based upon the evidence that DJI has publicly shared with us so far. You know, with their experimentation, everything, it paints, in my opinion, it paints a very clear picture for what's next. But the thing out here that could make all of this not materialize the way that many of us feel that it may is that there's no competition. So DJI could do whatever they want to do. I mean, they can do whatever they want to do because they have no competition. And they're selling drones. And they can choose their price because they have no competition. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But the fact that they have no competition allows them to innovate and potentially make mistakes, which I'll go as far as to say that the DJI Spark was a mistake. But even though the product itself was a mistake, I think it was important because, again, the Spark and the Mavic Pro, those two drones enabled them to dream up and create the Mavic Air, which I feel is very close to perfect. So John says Spark is one and done. I agree. I agree completely. Big Plains, Richard says my remote shorted out already. Oh no. For the Mavic Air? Big Plane says, what is DJI holding back their Phantom 5 and Mavic Pro 2 to be released when there is more competition? And in the meantime, they're filling the gaps with drones like the Spark. I agree completely. That makes sense because they don't have to release the big kahuna. I mean, they can play with the more fun, more reachable from a price perspective drones, and really saturate the market with volume versus profit per one unit sold. So that's pretty neat. Richard says, be careful in removing the USB-C micro USB connector from the remote controller. The connector came unsoldered or undone and possibly shorted the RC. Man, when removing the USB-C to micro USB connector. So do you think the short occurred? So are you saying the short occurred at the connector piece where you have the USB-C to micro USB? Do you think it occurred within that, or do you think it occurred at the device end here on this? Fruipel says, I have a Phantom 4 and a Mavic Pro, and there is nothing that would get me to purchase a Phantom 5. I don't care if it flies longer and farther, has the best camera, looks cool, etc. Fruipel says, these smaller drones have the performance and size I'm interested in. Yeah, ditto to John. Thanks, thanks Richard for sharing that, and that's a bummer, man. I hope you can get that fixed, because that's frustrating. Ryan says, I'm trying to decide between the Mavic Air and the Phantom Pro 2 and the Autel Evo. What are your thoughts? Well, number one, I'm still thinking about the drone that Autel touted at CES, Consumer Electronics Show, 2017. Not this year's CES, but the previous year. With a modular camera, looked kind of cool, kind of looked like a Phantom. To my knowledge, that thing never materialized. So it's hard for me to even consider that drone. And I would love to see someone try to compete with DJI. But when and if Autel Evo does materialize, when and if it materializes, and if it's decent, my fear is that if DJI even considers it to be the slightest bit of a threat, that DJI will likely quickly respond with something so much better. I don't know. I don't know if I would go that route. And again, I would love to see DJI encounter some healthy competition, but I don't know if I would go that route. As far as waiting for Mavic Pro 2, I think without a doubt the release of Mavic Pro 2 is imminent. I think it's going to be better. It's probably going to be more expensive, but is it really necessary? I mean, for me, for portability, throwing it in a pack, stay tuned for more videos where I'm going to demonstrate this even more in depth in the field. But it's just super convenient. I mean, it almost feels phony that when you're out in the field and you've got a backpack and you're just pulling this out and it's so casual and so user friendly, it just seems like a fake experience. But it's not fake; it's reality, and that's where we've shifted to with drones. And to pat Fruple on the back about what he said, he wants a smaller drone, and I agree. I mean, once you go portable, it's hard to go back. We're not using phone booths anymore. We're not using cell phones in bags. We're using the smallest device possible that's still large enough to provide the performance and user friendliness that we expect. So the same is the case with drones. And and I got a waterproof and ruggedized case coming for the Mavic Air. So stay tuned for that. I am stoked. Something that can be swam with, something. Stay tuned. So let's see. So Richard says it seemed to happen with the small adapter. Richard, you know what I'm going to do, man? I'm going to, that cable, the DJI cable, the USB to USB-C, that adapter it came with it that goes USB-C to micro USB, I'm just going to discard that because it's not worth the risk. I mean, after what you've told me, it's not worth the risk, and what I can do is simply use, I've got a, micro USB cables are so cheap, I've got a USB to micro USB cable, and I'm just going to use that daily instead of the adapter. I'll just throw that little adapter away, and I'll still use that USB-C cable that came with my Mavic Air, but I'll just simply use it for USB-C only for plugging into the back of the drone. So that's Mark Bias says DJI, yeah, DJI. Yep, welcome aboard. Real estate student says, do you think that the Phantom 5 will have a new style transmitter or the same style that has been around? I think it's going to evolve because I think this is the new normal. And one thing I do want to mention, I'm not a fan, regardless of whether the device is in a case or not, I'm not a fan of this connection type. So I've got an adapter coming, and I'm going to be using it with my iPhone 7 Plus in the case. And by the way, I used this with my iPhone 7 Plus in the case. But got an adapter coming that will just make it more user-friendly. But I think the Phantom 5 will probably, my assumption is that it will probably go with a controller design such as this. It'll probably have an integrated screen option, which I think is nice. Again, it'll probably be a more pro-level drone. A lot more pro-level than we're accustomed to so far with the Phantom line, DJI Phantom lineup. So Richard says DJI is supposed to send a return label for the RC and adapter. Very cool. Fruple says, I think the Evo won't be released with a 1-inch sensor, at least at first. That was just a prototype for CES. Again, prototype. And that's what we saw at 2017 CES. It never materialized. Will the Autel Evo materialize? Big Plane says, I wish Autel would be more original. The Evo looks like a Mavic. Their X-Star looks like a Phantom. I love competition, but they need to be more original. You're spot on with that. And, one drone that did look original but failed, unfortunately, was the GoPro Karma. I mean, GoPro is in a world of hurt right now. But if they had just scrapped the original GoPro Karma, they could have done so much better. They had a good concept, but it never... It got off the ground. The drone did, but the idea and the oh man, that was a disappointment. But at least they looked. Frugal says that will be good if you have to swim from a boat to shore there in the BVI. Without a doubt, man. When you're especially when you're in salt water is corrosive. If something gets wet, it's probably going to ruin an electronic item. But if it's salt water and it gets wet, then you've got the rust component to throw into the pot. So, yeah, definitely a waterproof and ruggedized case. Not too big, not too heavy, but something that I can swim with. I mean, this thing right here, when it's dry, or if I've got it in my backpack and I've got a waterproof rain cover on my backpack, this is awesome. It really is. Yeah, Richard said, good videos, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate you watching because, this channel, again, independent channel. If anytime y'all are looking for drones, drone accessories, just go to my website, epicdroneshow.com, or IrixGuy.com. Click the store link. It'll take you. You can find all the drones. That helps me out a lot. If you don't see what you're looking for, shoot me a message on Facebook fan page, facebook.com/IrixGuy, and say, hey, man, I'm looking for this. Do you have the link? And there's a good possibility that I may have a product link for you. That helps me out a lot. Again, being an independent channel, I don't have the marketing budget, blah, blah, blah. So that helps me out a lot. If you're looking for drones, accessories, electronics, whatever, if you go to my website and go to the store, that helps me out a lot. So appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, just the overall design. I love how with the Mavic Air they eliminated the screen. Who used the screen on the Mavic Pro controller? That was just an extra thing that would consume battery life, and it made the controller a little bit larger. So it's I don't know. I mean, yeah, Big Plane says I'm glad this drone is not a flop. I agree, because if a company releases too many failures consecutively, it can really taint the brand, and we don't want to see that happen. So I mean, this has been rock solid. What accessories are you looking forward for the Air, for the Mavic Air? And this is from Tom, the cabinet guy. Well, there's several accessories, and I'll be showcasing them here on my channel. One that I mentioned earlier is the adapter that'll better enable me to have a more enjoyable user experience with the controller. So that's something I don't like sticking an iPhone in here. I understand. I appreciate the portability aspect of it, but I don't like it. So I've got that coming. Obviously, the waterproof and ruggedized case, I've got that coming, and I'm sure I'll find some other knickknacks here and there that enhance the Mavic Air flying experience. So I'll be sure to showcase them all on my YouTube channel, and obviously you'll be able to find all of them on epicdroneshow.com or IrixGuy.com. So, Marky Bear says, I've heard the arms are weak on the Mavic Air. Well, I think you may have heard incorrectly, because I can tell you that as far as a tactile feel is concerned, these things, the way that they pop out, it's got a very reassuring and tactile feel, you know, knowing that it's opened. It doesn't feel like a Mavic Pro, because with the Mavic Pro, it was, you know, it was something where I felt like, yeah. With the Mavic Pro, it was something I felt like I didn't feel that comfortable. You know, after multiple flights in the field, I didn't feel that comfortable knowing that, you know, I was unfolding and refolding something. You know, if you ever got a piece of tin or something and you bend it back and forth, eventually it's going to just sever. And I don't get that vibe with the Mavic Air. I mean, it feels like, and I can't say how many, I mean, I'm not a scientist here. I'm not going to say this is rated for X number of 100 or X number of 1,000 folds and unfolds. I mean, I'm not going to get that technical with it, but I can just tell you in a Joe Bob kind of way that, yeah, I mean, this feels very good. I personally have no concerns regarding the build quality. Obviously, if it crashed, you know, it may crack or crumble just like any other drone, but, you know, my expectation is that this should be able to handle it as well as most any other drone out there from DJI. So, yeah, if you've heard the arms are weak, pick one up yourself. You know, hold it in your hands and just feel the, you know, just savor the build quality. I mean, I'm not trying to pump this up and make it, but I mean, it is really nice. Feels very nice. So, anyway, Fruitful, let's see. Kevin says, I know this is a little off topic, but just imagine all of the technology the United States has in its possession dating all the way back to 1947 to present day. Yeah, imagine all that technology, and then think about the you know, the technology that quote unquote doesn't exist. I mean, there's so many. You know, when you think about all the reverse engineered alien spacecraft that we've captured and that sort of stuff, I mean, there's technology that we're not even yet seeing as consumers. So, I mean, there's tons of technology out there. technology that's been reverse engineered, reverse engineered alien technology, etc. So we're not the smartest beings in the universe by any means. Frugal says, I know you flew with an iPod, but that's way too small for me. The iPad Mini 4 is right on my lower limit, so even iPhone 7 Plus is still a little small. Actually, my iPod Touch that I used, the batteries, I grabbed the iPod Touch, and I wish I had made a video of this, but I didn't want to have a safety hazard in my office. And the battery had swollen, and it was bubbled up. So I just threw that thing away. I deleted my data and threw that thing away to be safe. But I am looking for something when I don't want to use my iPhone 7 Plus as my primary flying device for the Mavic Air. I want to find a tablet or something, so stay tuned for my videos on that. Something a little bit bigger that's just kind of a standalone device that I can use. John says, how do you feel? Richard says, dropped you a message on your Facebook page, a picture of the part. Not sure if you can pull it up for your viewers. I'll check that. I'm not logged into my Facebook on this computer, on my live streaming computer, but I'll check it out. Check it out afterwards. John says, how do you feel about battery time? Perfectly acceptable. Real world testing that I've done so far, easily get around 16 minutes. I know they quote around 21 minutes during optimal conditions, but I easily get 16 minutes. Maybe even a few minutes additional. So for me to film a 5-minute video, that provides me with one 5-minute video. If I mess up, I can shoot it again. That puts me at the 10-minute mark. Then I've got another 6 to, let's say, 8 or so minutes to spare if I have to shoot again. So it's a great amount of battery life. Spark was too short. Mavic Air is plenty acceptable when it comes to battery life. So I'm very impressed. Frugal says, I will only fold my Mavic Pro's arms when transporting. Otherwise, it sits unfolded on my kitchen bar. That's probably best practice, man. It probably is. Probably is for sure. Cruise Tech, is there 2 frequencies on this? I think they're actually, I'd have to look at the manual, but I think it's based upon the flying location. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but there's different. The FCC, I think, set some guidelines about the communications frequency. So, yeah, read into that and read the specs. Check out my website. You can find the Mavic Air there, all the detailed specs. So, man, there is so much we can talk about in this. We got a huge audience. But I have, in my studio, I have a plate of spaghetti. I have salad. I have French toast with a ton of butter. And it is getting cold. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go tear into that, and we're going to have to have another live show. Hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we can get together, probably around the same time tomorrow, for another live show, and just obsess over this Mavic Air. So come up with your questions, come up with your concerns. I'm going to answer a few more questions here. Richard says, can you turn off cell phone capabilities to avoid phone calls that disrupt? Without a doubt. Actually, during one of my first videos, I forget if it was flight test 1 or 2, you noticed that my screen recording aborted prematurely, and that was a third-party app I was using to record screen on my iPhone for the actual DJI Go app view, but that's because a phone call came in. But yeah, if I had turned off my phone calls, that wouldn't have been an issue. Big Plane says, I know this seems a little off topic, but what do you think some of the reasons Karma failed? Karma failed, number 1, because of the name. Never name a product Karma, because it'll come out and bite you on the butt. Number 2, Karma was they had a good model. It's a drone, it's a camera, it's a flying mount. It's another mount for your GoPro. But they priced it too high for that. For a mount, it was too overpriced. Also, what ultimately killed it, as soon as GoPro, Nick Woodman came out and announced it, people were excited. They put a lot of quality design into it. The controller looked nice. It felt nice. But as soon as GoPro announced it, DJI comes out and announces something smaller, better. No fisheye in the camera. That was another thing that killed the GoPro Karma, the fisheye from the GoPro cameras. DJI came out and they announced Mavic Pro, no fisheye. It's smaller, it's lighter, it looks better, it does a better job. Bye-bye GoPro. And you know what you can do with a Mavic Pro or a Mavic Air? You can actually hand hold it when the propellers aren't spinning, and it actually functions like a handheld gimbal. And with the Karma grip that came with the GoPro Karma drone, the Karma grip wasn't waterproof. So the fact that the camera that was attached to it was waterproof didn't matter, because you can't go in the water with the gimbal GoPro Karma grip that's not waterproof. So the fact that neither on the Mavic Pro or the Mavic Air, neither the camera nor the drone are waterproof, it doesn't matter, because you're not using the GoPro Karma on a gimbal grip in a waterproof fashion anyway. So yeah, I hate that. Yeah. I really hate that GoPro Karma failed. I had such high hopes for GoPro Karma. And GoPro should have just abandoned it. They should have said, you know what, we failed. DJI one-upped us. You know, let's just come up with a new design, something radically different. But they didn't. They were controlled by the street. They were controlled by Wall Street. And Wall Street was just making them, you know, that stock price, just making them, oh, you got to rush this out, you got to rush that out. It confused their business model so much that as a once innovative company, GoPro failed. And I feel so sorry for them. But that's what going public can do for a lot of companies. You know, it's no longer a matter of, I like this, I like that, let's go slow and controlled, let's release a quality and innovative product. It's no longer that. The street, the stock price dictates every single move. And that's what destroyed GoPro. So, let's see, what am I washing down dinner with? I am washing down dinner with a Pepsi, because I'm out of Coca-Cola. Actually, I like Coca-Cola better, but I'm just going to wash it down with a Pepsi. It's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit sweeter. Let's see. Typhoon H. That drone. Oh, man. Let's see. Let's see. Marky says, did you pay with your own money, or did you get it sent free by DJI? I buy all my drones, and the reason I do is that this is not a channel where you see those pre-release drones, like, you know, weeks or months before they even hit the street, that are freebies. That's not my style. I like to buy the drones. That way, when I'm reviewing them, I don't have any sort of bias, no bias whatsoever. I have no connection to the company. There's no reason to feel like, well, they gave me a cheeseburger, so now I got to write a fair review for whatever product XYZ. No. You get it yourself, you like it or you don't, and you tell the world what you think. So that's why I buy my own stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Chris says, GoPro had nothing, just a boring plain drone. You're right. Clem says, I watch your Mavic Air video, but I think the Mavic Pro videos show better quality. I will argue differently to that point. I feel that the Mavic Air is better, and the reason is it doesn't require tap to focus. It's just boom, nailed focus. There's no guessing. Did I get correct focus or did I not? You know, you just fly and you capture and you get something that looks great. And let's see. Chris says, going to Cozumel in 2 weeks. Can I fly the Mavic Air there? Not sure, man. Not a lawyer. You know, check with the airports, check with the authorities. That's just a question I can't answer, dude. Marky says, good. Dwayne says, what about shaking issue at startup? People are having that. Saw a guy on YouTube. Great video. It was shaking vigorously. And that was be interesting to follow up with him. I subscribed to his YouTube channel. Be interesting to follow up and see if they offered any sort of explanation. The HDR, high dynamic range, is much better, says Fruitful. Without a doubt is much better. And HDR is the next big thing. And HDR is not just a buzzword. We'll chat about that later. Guys, my food is getting cold, and I'm hungry, and I got to eat, and then I got to go do that exercise stuff so I don't get as fat from eating so much stuff. So anyway, we're going to continue this. And I hate to be so short-lived here at 40 minutes, but we're going to it's going to be fun. We're going to have another live show hopefully tomorrow. So thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm going to go eat. Dwayne, I'll go eat, man. Thank you all for tuning in, and we're gonna tear this thing apart. Anything you want to see me review specifically, shoot me a message on Facebook, facebook.com/IrixGuy, twitter.com/IrixGuy, instagram.com/IrixGuy, youtube.com/IrixGuy, and obviously go to IrixGuy.com or epicdroneshow.com to find all the drones, all the accessories. If you're buying a drone and or accessories, electronics, whatever, if you go to my website and shop from the links there. It helps me a lot. I'm an independent channel, and I couldn't do this, continue to do this live show and review these drones without your support. So thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.